everybody. Thanks for joining the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Kat Shear. I'm your host. And today we have the esteemed pleasure of meeting with one Dave Hardie. This is part of our MFC warm-up. And Dave, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, doing good. Trying to get a little fitness in before Fort Wayne comes around.
Before the big show. Where are you situated?
I live in South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina. So but below south of Charleston, a little north of Savannah, along the water.
Got it. Okay. So you are like in a coastal town. Did the hurricane affect you at all?
It came through. We had a lot of rain and wind on Friday, but it missed us and was weak enough before it got here. So no big deal.
Gotcha. Perfect. Did you work out today?
Nope. Today's a rest day. We have an event down here called Fittest of the Coast, and it's being broadcast from our gym tomorrow. So I get to do the workout as part of the announcement tomorrow. So resting on a Wednesday, which feels weird, but anyway.
Right? Oh, maybe that's why we were able to fit you in here too, because most of our interviews seems like it happens on Thursday, because that's like the International Day of Rest.
International Rest Day, exactly.
For everybody, unless you're a gym owner or something. What do you do for a living?
I'm an executive recruiter. So companies hire my firm and me to find a CEO or a head of sales or marketing or CFO, those kinds of roles.
Nice. It's always interesting to me to hear, how these masters athletes, you guys are so talented and have, all this fitness, but you sort of are able to manage life in addition to your training. How do you sort of find that balance?
Well, luckily, my job is, number one, can be quite virtual. That's why we moved to South Carolina 6 years ago from New York. So I can be virtual, and it's pretty flexible. So, if I shut down from 5 to 8 to be at the gym, and then I go back online at 8, it works pretty well.
Oh, that's great. And where do you train typically?
CrossFit Humidity here in Beaufort.
That's a
we named it Humidity because Misery was taken. So. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Dave, what age group are you in?
I will be 65 in January. So right now I'm in the 60-64 age group.
Okay. And then for the open season, the CrossFit season next year, will you be 65. In the 65 plus?
65
nice.
Plus. Yeah.
So that's sort of, explain to folks that don't quite understand the benefit of that as we get into these older age groups, being the youngest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a year makes a difference when you get old like us. So like me. So the age groups are every 5 years, 55, 59, 60, 64. It used to be 60 plus. Now they've added a 65 plus category. So when I went to the games, it was in the 60 plus. Now it's going to be in 60. Now the next division is 65 plus. And it is magic being the young guy in the old divisions, because once you've been there a few years, unless you're a Dave Hippensteel or a Will Powell or somebody like that, it's hard to make it after the first year or two.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of leeway there in between those age groups. Yeah, I'm 49, so I'm at that tail end of.
You're looking forward to turning
my age group. I am waiting to hit that next milestone to be, the youngin' again. Right? Yeah, it does.
Only in CrossFit, we want to get older.
It makes you look forward to it. Can you tell us a little bit about your athletic background, or sort of how you found CrossFit? I know, most people that we follow, mainstream in CrossFit are in their 20s and their 30s. They found it maybe as teenagers or young adults. I started when I was 40. I can imagine that, it hasn't been around long enough for you to have started when you were 40, I don't think. No. So tell us how that evolved.
I started when I was 55. So my if I had an athletic background, it was more in the running triathlon kind of world, although my last triathlon was in 1985. So it's been a long time now. Yeah. I've got, let's do the math. Were you even born then?
Yeah, I was born in 78. Okay. So I was,
So anyway, I have an endurance running and biking kind of background, but always interested in fitness. And along the way, had done every different version of P90X that existed multiple times, knew all the jokes without even watching the video, and was doing boot camps. I was participating in boot camp type fitness when my wife said, "Hey, Dave, there's a CrossFit gym opening up near us. Why don't we go give that a try?" And I had always wanted to, and we did 9 years ago, fell in love with it, and off we go from there.
So that was 2013?
2013.
2013. Was 2013 your first open?
No, I
Or
started
2014?
CrossFit in May, so 2014 was the first open.
Okay. And did you participate like
Oh
right
yeah,
away?
oh yeah, my first competition was the open, and then I started doing some local type competitions that same year.
When did you sort of realize, besides it just being sort of a method of exercise, where you thought you were going to be competitive?
Well, I always felt like CrossFit was that magic combination of the camaraderie and the competition. So I always loved competing with myself, with the other guys in the gym. I guess it was that summer of 2014 when I said, hey, let me try a competition, see if it's fun. It was. And so then I started looking for every place that had a 55 plus division, because that was kind of as old as masters competitions got at the time. Started doing all of those, and then said, well, wouldn't it be cool when I get to 60 to try to make it on a bigger stage? So that was it.
And what kind of training did that take? And sort of, difference between just being your everyday athlete and then putting that goal out there of the CrossFit Games, right? Got to be very different.
Yeah, it's so when I turned 60, I guess when I was 59 and going into 60, I started doing comp train, the master's program. So stepping out of classes and not just doing classes, but doing dedicated, longer training there with comp train at the time. Came close my first year as a 60-year-old, but missed by a couple of spots. And that's when I started working with a one-on-one coach, CJ DePalma, who was absolutely magic in the following year. So when I made it, it was 60. I was 61. But CJ, helped me come back from a rotator cuff surgery, programmed it perfectly, and he was the reason that I made it to Madison.
What were some of the holes in your game prior to that?
Oh, I still have holes. Anything heavy is a hole for me. Yeah, we all do. Look, I'm at my best in long body weight aerobic stuff. I mean, nobody's going to outrun me. Nobody's going to out rope climb me. But when it comes to a barbell, lots of people are going to beat me. So that's the big hole for me, and probably always will be. I will always be an old skinny guy.
I don't know about that. Talk to us a little bit about your journey to the games that first time you qualified, because that was a little bit of a roller coaster for you, wasn't it?
Oh, it absolutely was. So when the Masters qualifier, I guess we call it the age group qualifier, was done, I was sitting in, I don't know, 14th, 16th place or something, and they only took 10 that year. That was the year they went to 10. And
this is 2019?
In 2019.
Yeah, okay.
And so I was like, well, shoot, we'd be high-fiving everybody if the year before I had been 16th, but now I'm 16th, and that doesn't get you anything. So I said, well, I'll go to the Granite Games, and went to the Granite Games, had a ton of fun. That was my first kind of big competition, made a lot of friends. I still have. Did you go
to the after party?
Yeah.
At the bar?
Yes.
So I think that's where we first met.
Exactly.
Mark Peters, who's a friend of mine,
yes,
who's a local coach here in Wilmington, introduced me to all of you guys because I was judging at the 2019 Granite Games, and I got to sort of know all you guys.
And Mark's still a good buddy.
Yeah. We can see him in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I went to the Granite Games, had a lot of fun, was able to win it.
And at that point, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but at that point, you're figuring your season's over.
Oh,
right?
It was over.
You didn't qualify for the games, so this is sort of like your games for the year. You're going to just go hard. You won that in your division, the Granite Games, so you sort of can take a breath and sort of now take a break, right? Yeah. Not train for anything, just relax.
Well, the very next day, when I got home, I called up CJ, my coach. And we had a discussion of, thanks very much. It was great working with you, but that's it. There's no reason for me to keep doing this. And so it was 2 days later, that Wednesday that same week, I got an email from CrossFit saying, hey, you've qualified, you're in. What had happened along the way is a lot of people got penalized for ring muscle ups and not locking them out before you start. and that had moved me up to 11th place. And I didn't know this, but it had moved me up to 11th place. And then there was a guy, I think his name is Don Brown, who decided not to go. And so all of a sudden I am the 10th place qualifier. And so I got this email and I called up my coach and said, "Hey, CJ, just got this email saying I'm in the games." He says, "Are you sure it's legit?" That was his vote of confidence in me is, "Are you sure you were made?" Yeah.
Who sent you that?
So it was a roller coaster, and went in the scope of a week from this is the end of the season to a lot of fun at the Granite Games to now it's over to all of a sudden we're back to getting ready for Madison.
Yeah. How prepared did you feel for that?
For Madison?
Yeah.
We had several months. I guess it was May that
Sure.
that we got the notification. It's early June. So I had 2 months to get ready. So I felt good about Madison. Really good.
Mm-hmm. And that was the year that they had like national champions and a ton of stuff going on. What was that kind of like to represent your country, on the field, on that big stage?
It was a magical week. I mean, it was, people talk about the 2019 games like, oh, shoot, that's the year they had everybody there. Well, in Masters, they had 10 per division. It was, very selective. It was a great group. It was so much fun. And that ceremony, the opening ceremony where we all walked out onto the field, was just magical. I think it's my profile picture on the game site or something because I loved the pictures of that so much. It was so much fun.
Yeah. So talk us through then sort of the progression of your career since then in terms of CrossFit. You've done MFC a few times now, right?
Yeah.
At least once.
Both years. So 2020. So 2020, of course, was the pandemic year. I was not going to make the games. And I missed it by a few, but of course they then canceled Masters at the game. So nobody made it, but I didn't qualify. And so when the Masters Fitness Collective Championship was announced, I was like, oh, this is cool. Number one, there's nothing going on this year because of the pandemic. These guys are putting something new out there. There's the picture that
that's awesome.
If I ever run for Senate, that's my campaign picture. So there was when the event was announced, I was like all in. This sounds great. I had visited Fort Wayne once 30 years ago in my career, and that wasn't the reason I went, but it turned out to be a lot of fun and a great city and a great competition. So I went in 20, went again in 21, and now coming back in 22 in a team this year. Oh,
fun. Okay, so you're doing teams. So yeah, they've expanded the divisions to include teams of 2.
Yep.
And they're doing what, like decade divisions, right? Like 40 to
we
50?
have 60 plus for, yes. 60 plus. I think it is. Okay. I think it is decade. So as soon as Eamon added the 60 plus, I signed up right away. I managed to convince Will Powell to be my partner. So nice. So I the most important decision is the one of you when you pick your partner. So
yeah, absolutely. Any other off-season stuff you've been dabbling in?
Back to the Granite Games this year, which was a much scaled down thing, but a lot of fun to be there as part of a semifinal. Then we've got, regional events here. As I mentioned, Fittest of the Coast, which is for the coast of South Carolina, although now they go for the Fittest of South Carolina. So the state competition, it's just, taking part in as many as I can that have the right age groups.
Yeah. Are you doing Legends? Have you ever done Legends?
No, I have never. This is the first year I did the qualifier because it was always right after the Master Fitness Collective, and I, for one reason or another, was never able to do it.
Right.
This year didn't make it. Looking forward to next year because I won't turn 65 until after this year's event, but it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, that was a tough qualifier, and I think they didn't have very many open spots, right? No. I actually coach an athlete who's 60 to 65. He went to Legends last year. It was a funny story. We started working together right like a week before the Legends qualifiers for 2021 came out, And as an exercise, I said, hey, let's just do these
Yeah.
qualifiers and see where your holes are. I had never watched him, do any CrossFit before. So I thought it was a good opportunity for us to sort of get to know each other. And darn it, if he didn't qualify. And we went to San Diego and he competed, and I think he ended up top 10. So that was really a cool experience for him. And he totally got bitten by the bug, the competition bug, loved the environment, all the people and everything else. So he also did not qualify for Legends this year, but he'll be at MFC as an individual. So you'll get to meet him.
Who's that?
His name's Paul Palmer.
Oh, yeah. Look forward to meeting him. Legends this year being in Cookeville. I think my understanding is many more people tried to qualify because it's at Mayhem, and the field was tightened because it was Mayhem. They just don't have the space. So
right.
It was a tough one to get through.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next year you'll get some exposure there as well, because it's a good competition. So what do you know about the workout so far for MFC?
Well, I'm aware of the 4 that have been announced. Excited about some, not as excited about others. I'm trusting that Eamon will introduce a little more on gymnastics on the team side in the ones that are still to come, because so far I think all we really have is toes to bar in one event in terms of gymnastics. But
yeah, and so I don't want to speak too much about it because, as you know, I'm the head judge and one of the event directors. So I don't know exactly which ones have been released and which ones haven't. So I'm going to just not say anything.
Okay.
I don't want to, say too much. But I think you'll be pleased.
I am excited about the running one because that's my wheelhouse. So
that's going to be a fun one. That's I'm not sure what the team one is, but I know for individual, it's like a 3-mile run. I think you guys do 2 miles.
We do a mile,
800 meters.
A mile and a half each. Basically, it's 800 meters without a weight, a mile with the weight, 800. Partner 1, 800 meters. Partner 2, a mile with the weight. Partner 1, a mile with the weight, and then partner 2, I guess it is.
2, whoever does the other one. Good. Yeah. And how do you feel about the swim? I know we haven't announced the swim, but
we're not going to swim.
There's a swim.
The teams are not going to swim. Yeah, I always loved that in Fort Wayne is the swim event, and this year we're not in it. So
yeah, darn it. They're at a new venue too, which is like a larger pool. I think last year we were in 2 different locations, which made it a little squirrely for everybody. But there's always next year because you'll be in that new division, and you'll definitely
we'll see
be vying for it. That's cool. What do you like best about competing as a masters athlete?
Well, number 1, I like competing. Number 2, I like it's always stretching us to keep skills up and develop new skills that we don't have. And then it's a lot of it has to do with the people at the event. I mean, so many, you mentioned Mark Peters. So getting to know people like him at events is just amazing. And somehow it's very different at the national events like MFCC than it is at a local throwdown. At a local throwdown, you just don't spend much time together. Whereas, with the corrals and the warm-up area and everything else, you really get to know people, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know Scott and I both observe when we've been to masters only competitions, there's just a different vibe. It feels a little more relaxed. And everybody's really just tight. Like the men and women in their age group, we always do the group picture at the end, with everybody. And it's just a lot of fun. It's it's a really cool vibe to be around for sure. Good. So what do you got going on leading up to this? You're doing a little deload? Not until maybe next week after?
Yes, I'm not sure what we're probably not doing a big deload. I mean, it's, a couple of days off before the event starts. I've got couple of 3 people from my gym are coming up. They've never done a national event like this. So Corey and Kelly and Jim are going to be participating. And so we're all kind of looking at the workouts together, and it's all exciting leading up to that. And then I got to plan some dinners in Fort Wayne for all of us. So it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. Are you guys staying near the venue?
Right across the street. Absolutely. Right across the street. Yeah. Good setup.
That's awesome. We're going to have, we're actually going to have CJ Martin and Eamon on Friday at 12:30 to do another live chat to sort of give everybody sort of a preview of, folks that aren't familiar with the competition and just garner a little press for it so that people watch the live stream and tune in. So that should be great. Co-host Scott here has a question about how you train consistently without getting nagging injuries that us old people tend to get.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'd like to say I've never had any injuries, but I will tell you that when I had my rotator cuff surgery, I asked the surgeon, is this because of CrossFit or is this because I'm old? And he said, look, I'm going to do 15 of these surgeries today and you're the only one who does CrossFit. So it's because you're old. I think a lot of it, it's trite, but listening to your body, knowing how to manage the amount of volume that's sufficient for what you need to do, but not so much that it leads to energy is crucial. As I said, my coach, he's a PT, doctor of physical therapy, and so I think he manages that pretty well for me. And it's a lot of warm up. I mean, people laugh at me how long it takes me to warm up, but that's crucial to avoiding injury too.
Yeah, I need to work on that. I warm up about 2 minutes these days for workouts. It's going to catch up to me eventually for sure. CJ DePalma too. He's with What Prep, right?
Yes, he's the head coach of the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, I met them at MFC back in 2020.
They were there.
Yeah,
terrific folks.
Jay and Ben. Yeah, they're nice guys for sure.
Yeah. So I've kind of gone back and forth. I was, working with CJ one-on-one, and then just doing class stuff and adding to it, and then coming back to CJ. Because right now I've got arthritis in this shoulder, and we're trying to work to see if I can get the overhead mobility that I need. So, is
that the non-surgical shoulder?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do they clean up that when they do rotator cuff surgery? Can they like clean up arthritis when they're in there?
I had this shoulder worked on right after the 2021. Is that right? Anyway, right after Master Fitness Collective, I did have this shoulder, the arthritic one, worked on and cleaned up.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But unfortunately, once they take out the pieces, if there's no cartilage there, there's no cartilage there. So it's
right.
bone and bone.
Do you do any, so I guess it's like a joint thing. So really like dry needling is not going to help, or cupping or anything like that. It's just a little bit of ibuprofen and some prayers.
a lot of ibuprofen and beers, yeah.
I said prayers, not beers.
Oh, okay, no beers.
Either one.
Prayers too, but beers work.
Right. Scott wants to know too, how many days do you go 100%? Like are you like 3 days on, 1 day off? You pretty much.
I train 5 days, so I take Thursdays and Sundays off. Going all out, all out is, once or twice a week. Certainly there are challenging Metcons, but the conditioning work tends to be, so I have kind of an intensity scale in my head. And if 8 is a class and 10 is live competition, I probably am only going to 8 or 9 twice a week. And almost never to 10 during the week.
Unless you have to.
Yeah.
Right. With regard to training also, are there things that, as someone of your age, and again, like I consider us to be all the same age. I'm a master's athlete myself. Are there things that you just won't do in training that will come up in competition, but that you just don't bother sort of doing or training just because of either the risk or the wear and tear and things like that,
Sure.
that you can turn on game day, but you really don't need to sort of go hard on those in practice?
I'll answer a slightly different question first, which is there are things I know I would be more successful if I did, but they, in my mind, increase the risk of injury, such as butterfly pull-ups. So I know how to do butterfly pull-ups. I don't do them, never do them, even in competition, just because of the strain on the shoulders for me. Okay. Other things that I just don't do in training, pistols, for example. And, if pistols come up, fine. I know how to do them and they'll be fine. But as a matter of course, I just don't train pistols, for example.
Is there a reason for that? They're just because they're uncomfortable, or they don't seem super dangerous necessarily?
People tell me they're tough on old people's knees. My knees are good, so I don't worry about that so much, but I also don't want to tempt it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't do a lot of box jumping or jump rope. I mean, I I can do dubs anytime I need to, but my feet take a beating anymore these days, like with box jumps and things. So I will oftentimes just step up. I know in a competition there's not going to be more than like 50 box jumps, and I know I can do them if I have to.
Yeah.
But I just don't like to train those at all. And then training on the rings. Anytime I try to do any kind of like even a warm up or a drill on the rings, like swinging, I feel like I need shoulder surgery for like 4 days afterwards. It makes it really hard to learn how to do a ring muscle up when you can't even really do the drills that you're supposed to do first. Super.
Well, I had we did ring muscle ups yesterday, so I'll do them. I don't do them often though.
Yeah, kind of bring them out when you need to, and that's about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you take your fitness outside of the box at all, and what kind of things do you like to do outside of the gym?
Do I take my fitness outside the box? I don't know. I used to play a lot of golf. Stopped completely. Haven't touched a club in 5 years, 6 years, which is weird because I live in South Carolina. You'd think you play golf all the time. But I just find that I don't have any interest in doing that if I could be in the gym working on fitness. We enjoy where we live, so boating. So this is not taking fitness outside the gym, but we enjoy boating in the water and all the things that go along with living down here. That's, you know.
Do you have a boat?
Yeah.
What kind of boat do you have?
It's a center console, 18-foot, all around boat. It's got a ski hookup and those kinds of things. So we enjoy being out on it.
Do you keep it in a marina or do you have it at your house?
We live on the water, so we have it up on the dock, up on our dock. So cool. It makes it very nice for cocktail cruises. Just lower it down, and my wife and I can be on the water in 15 minutes.
Super easy, yeah. Do you like dock up to restaurants and things and get cocktails? And
we have a few of those, yes.
I love it. My dad used to live in North Myrtle Beach, right on the intercoastal. So I kind of understand that way of life. It's a lot of fun. Although we rented a pontoon boat one time, and then I remember I had to park it at one of the restaurants and we totally got stuck.
Yeah, exactly.
That was super fun. I had to get out and push, and I felt like I was using my fitness outside the box that day because I was able to push the boat out of the mud.
There you go. Exactly.
So there you go. Exactly. All right. Well, this has been fun. One last thing I want to end with. I always confuse you with Chris Hinshaw.
I get that a lot.
I'm so glad that you get that a lot, because I really thought that I was the only person that did that. I remember seeing you at MFC either the first year or the second year, and I was like, oh my God, guys, Chris is here. And I almost said something to you. I think one year he was there.
Did you think this podcast was with Chris?
Right? I got it all confused. I'm like, darn it.
From the very early times of my CrossFit career, people would say, you look a lot like Chris Hinshaw. And in fact, now I say, no, he looks like me because I'm older. I'm older, and he's never made the games. He's had plenty of athletes there. I get that a lot. Having people, I remember standing in a hotel in Madison at the lobby, and a guy's walking by with his girlfriend. I could hear him say, "That's Chris Hinshaw." And another guy at a competition came up and wanted to talk to me about his marathon training and pacing. I'm like, wait, who do you think I am? So that was it.
Who's taller?
I don't know the answer to that. I've never met Chris in person.
Oh, really?
No. Hoping to, but never have.
Oh, we got to make that happen. Yeah, that would be super cool. Does he know about you?
I have no idea.
We'll have to arrange that. I love it.
This Christmas we were in Italy, and we happened to be in Florence. And while we were there, Chris Hinshaw posted a picture from Florence of a Christmas tree on the square next to the hotel where we were staying. I'm like, I say to Marissa, we've got to go out there and see if Chris is still there. He wasn't, but anyway.
No way. All right. So Scott says he's about 5'9". How tall are you?
5'10". So there you go. Another way I'm better than Chris.
Another way you're better than him. I love it. Very cool. So when are you heading out to Fort Wayne?
We go up on that Thursday morning, and then the competition I think starts Friday. So it'll be good.
You're flying in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Are you staying till Monday?
We are. Fly out early Monday morning.
Nice. Okay. Is your wife coming with you?
She is. Yeah, Marissa comes to these things all the time. She's an Olympic weightlifter, so I go with her to her meets, and she comes with me. I go to some of her meets, and she comes with me to the big CrossFit meets.
Oh, very cool. I'd love to talk to her. If you see me and she's around, grab her for me.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to get to know you, Dave. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Kat.
All right. Sounds good. Take care.
Bye-bye.